Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for The Walking Dead, Season 7. And what I want to do with this video is look at the ending of Season 7, Episode 14, and look at whether I think Rosita met up with Daryl or Dwight, and as a result of that reunion, what will it mean? If you are not caught up with The Walking Dead and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I suggest you exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay, so if you remember at the end of Season 7, Episode 14, The Other Side, Rosita was running away from the sanctuary after Sasha, left her behind, and we saw that Rosita ran into somebody in the shadows who had a crossbow, a motorcycle, and a hair that came down to like their cheeks and their jawbone. And obviously there are two people that fit that description, one of which is Daryl, the other one is Dwight. And obviously there's a big question. Who did she run into? And I think that ultimately the trailer ended up answering that question for us. I think based on what I saw in the trailer, it's Dwight that she ran into. Because if you look at the trailer, you will see that Daryl is with Rick's group when they're on their way to go to Oceanside. You see him carrying that crate that I'm presuming is filled with dynamite. And I think that there's no way that he would have been able to go all the way up to the sanctuary, meet up with Rosita, and then go all the way back to Alexandria and get ready for this plan. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, maybe this episode takes place a day or two later, but I think that more likely than not, based on what happened, I really think she ran into Dwight. I really, really think more likely than not, it was Dwight over Daryl. Part of me also thinks it's for story reasons, which I'll explain, but I just think that for Daryl, it would be too convenient for him to be in that area. Number one, because the motorcycle is going to be loud. If Daryl rode his motorcycle all the way up there, that would have alerted somebody. And we know that Daryl is basically wanted by the Saviors. It is a kill on sight order for him. If they see him, they're going to kill him. So as much as I admire Daryl and I think that he would want to protect people and everything, why would he go back that way if he knows that that could happen to him? I don't think he would. As much as I think he's worried for Sasha and Rosita's sake and their safety, I just don't think that he's going to go after them. I don't think that would be smart for him to do. So who else could be lurking around there? Well, Dwight's a member of the Saviors. Nobody would think it would be strange for him to be in that area. So I think it's Dwight. I think that she met up with him. I think that the person that she saw in that shadow is Dwight. So what is this going to mean? Well, part of me wonders if they will reveal that early in the episode or at the very end, because I could see that going either way. I could see that one of the other plot points of this episode could be that Rosita meets up with Dwight, they have a conversation, and maybe something is formed from there, that maybe we understand where Dwight's head is at. Maybe Dwight takes Rosita hostage and maybe is contemplating taking her into the sanctuary. Maybe he will, but I highly doubt that much. I don't think that he's going to do that, but I could be wrong. But I could see them making that a whole point in the episode, that there are going to be several scenes with them, but I could also see that this reunion would serve as the final scene of the episode, that this could be the surprise at the very end that would make this episode epic, as well as waiting to see what's going to happen in the season finale, which I think is going to be absolutely spectacular. But I could see it going either way. But I think what's going to end up happening is Rosita, I think she's going to show up at one of the communities, but I think that no matter where she goes, I think that it's where Rick and the majority of the people are going to be. So I think she's going to show up and she's going to say, hey guys, I'm back. I think that at that point she's going to tell them what happened, tell them that Sasha's in there, and then Dwight's going to reveal himself. And of course, this reunion probably won't go very well. If Dwight shows up, which I think that he will, I don't think it's going to end very well. I think that people are going to be very upset to see him, especially Daryl, who, Dwight has done a lot of terrible things to Daryl. We cannot deny that. But I think that over the course of the last few episodes that we saw Dwight in, we kind of saw that maybe he was having some second thoughts about what was going on in the sanctuary. We kind of saw him go out to his old home. He read that letter from Sherry, and I think that ultimately that did some things to him. I think that ultimately it made him angry, it made him sad, but I think it also made him very upset at Negan, maybe thinking that Negan really caused a lot of the problems that caused them to split up, because Sherry's gone, she left. Well, I think that really, like in the comic books, this could be Dwight's moment to finally do something, despite the fact that Dwight has done some pretty terrible things. I mean, he shot Denise, he has put Daryl in a cell and practically tortured him. We saw that he set up Dr. Carson to take the fall for Sherry leaving and getting him killed. But nonetheless, it doesn't necessarily mean that Dwight is on Negan's side. I mean, I think that we've seen that one of the biggest themes is that people may not want to do Negan's, deeds. They may want to go against them, but there's really no way to do it. They have to do it the right way or in the right manner. But one of the big key plot points coming up in the comic books that happens is that Dwight ultimately ends up offering his support to Rick's group. He admits, yeah, I've done bad things. I've done terrible things, but, I had to do what I had to do to survive. And we've kind of seen that, the line between, doing things to survive has kind of gone a little further, and especially with Dwight. I mean, he's done things that maybe other people wouldn't think of doing, which does, in a sense, make him out to be somewhat of a villain, but he is the lesser of two evils when you look at Negan and Dwight. I think that obviously Dwight would be the lesser of two evils, but I could see him confronting Rosita and saying, hey, Negan's kind of screwed me over too. I want to get back at him. I'm willing to help you. And one of the things that he does in the comic books is that he offers to be a double agent. He, in a sense, offers to work with people inside of the sanctuary to help them and at the same time try to overthrow Negan, which he does do several things in the course of the comics that shows his loyalty to Rick's group. One of which is he kills some of the saviors when they attack Alexandria. He does that, which does demonstrate that he is on their side. Another thing that he does is that he also wants to help Eugene. Eugene ends up getting kidnapped by Negan in the comic books in a different manner than the television show. And he tells Eugene, look, I wanted to help Holly. I didn't get the chance. But now I'm telling you, I'm not really with them. I'm willing to help you. So he is willing to offer his help. But of course, people are very suspect of his sincerity. And I mean, I think we have every right to question if Dwight were to show up and offer his help, would people really even trust him? And I think it would be a very hard time, especially with Daryl. I mean, I think that once Dwight shows up, Daryl's going to want to kill Dwight right on the spot. But I think that Rosita's going to have to stop him, and other people are going to have to stop him too, just to hear what he has to say. And I think that this might be the point where Dwight decides to offer his help, where he says, I know I've done bad things to you in the past. Give me a chance, and I will help. The other thing I think that it might also do is that when Negan shows up at Alexandria, which I think he's bound to do in this season finale, I could see that maybe a prisoner exchange might be done. That they're going to hold Dwight in the cell when he shows up, and then when Negan shows up, that they might use Dwight as a bargaining chip to say, hey, give us Sasha or Eugene or both back, we'll give you Dwight back. So maybe that might make a little bit of trust make it harder for Dwight to trust them, or he might go along with it to help. Like maybe he offers himself up as a hostage. He says, look, here's how I'm going to show you. Use me as a hostage. You can do what you want with me. When Negan comes, you can barter with me and try to get your people back, or one of your people, or something. That maybe he's willing to put himself at risk to do that, rather than leave and go back and tell Negan what happened. He's going to do that for the group, and that might start the trust a little bit. That might end up forming with Dwight and Alexandria, and we might see Dwight really become a big part of Alexandria's success in this fight, because Dwight really does play quite a big role in the comic books as a double agent. And I think that if they follow this storyline, I think it's going to be introduced before the season is over, and I think that we are going to see what's going to happen. But to the extent, I'm not sure, because I could see this going a number of ways. But I think that ultimately Rosita did run into Dwight. I think that we are going to see Dwight express his desire to be somebody that helps bring down Negan, and he's going to propose it to the group, and the group's just going to have to determine whether he's trustworthy or not, and whether to let him. And I hope they do, because I think that he is somebody that could help them, and I think that it would definitely make the story more interesting going forward. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Rosita ran into Dwight? Do you think that she ran into Daryl and I'm wrong? What do you think's going to happen? Let me know. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming, and if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you all very much for watching.